there's a developer that I've become pretty close with that builds a bunch of little strip centers and like that. He calls me Mr. Miami, and I thought it was just because he thought I was from Miami. And one day I'm like, I'm not from Miami. I'm actually just north of Miami, South Florida, Fort Lauderdale. He's like, no, I call you Mr. Miami because every time I ask you for something, you have it to me within like the hour. He's like, I'm not used to that. He's like, a lot of the brokerage firms up here are more just like laid back and they're like, yeah, I'll get it to you next week. I'm like,
you imagine what I would do down there? I'd make their heads spin. Hey, welcome again, everybody, to the Zelnik Exchange Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Zelnik. Today, I have the great pleasure of spending some time with Michael Mogerman. I may call him Mike during the discussion. We have become really, really good friends and business associates, and it all started via social media, and we'll dig into that a little bit. We met at this, really right at the heart of COVID, 2021, somewhere about that, and we're 6 years into this thing, and things are rolling between Michael Mogerman and Corey Zelnik, and more to come. So let me give you a formal introduction, Mike, and we'll go from there. Mike is a partner at ForeFront Commercial. They are based out of Pompano Beach, Florida, and Fort Mill, South Carolina. Mike is a partner at ForeFront Commercial with more than 14 years of experience in commercial real estate. His experience spans land brokerage, development, investment analysis, leasing, and complex redevelopment projects. He earned his bachelor's degree in business management and real estate from Florida Atlantic University and a master's degree in real estate development from Nova Southeastern University. Over the course of his career, he's worked across nearly every stage of commercial real estate process, from due diligence and development to acquisitions, financial analysis, and landlord and tenant representation. Before joining ForeFront Commercial, Mike held key roles with SRS Real Estate Partners and Woolbright Development, where he was the company's top producing agent for 3 years. Beyond his professional work, Mike is active in both the industry and his community. He serves on the board of the South Florida Independent Retailer Award Show and coaches youth sports in Cooper City, where he lives with his wife and 2 children. Mike Mogerman, welcome.
Corey, thank you. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
That bio might have been a little bit dated. I'm not sure where you got that one from.
That's all good. We work with what we have. As long as nothing there was false, we're good. We can roll with it.
All true stuff. So
all right, good.
Pushing probably almost 19 years now in the business, so it's been good. Moved up to Fort Mill, South Carolina, about 3 years ago. So out of Cooper City, but it was an opportunity to expand the office and expose the family to some newer things. So.
No, that's great. So you come out of school, got a real estate development, a master's of real estate development, what have you. Is SRS a first job for you?
It was, yeah. So funny enough, I ended up there by accident. Not many people know this story, but one of the guys that was in the program with me was working with SRS. And I had lunch with him once or twice, at his office, not really paying attention to, what he actually did. And being a young kid, just not paying attention. And my whole family's been in construction one way or another.
Okay.
And so my dad's a GC. My brother owns a concrete cutting company. My grandfather was a GC. Like it's in our blood. When I graduated in 2008, obviously there wasn't a lot being built. And at the time, SRS had a sister company called Cypress Equities that was building a residential development in the Bahamas.
Okay.
So every time I went to this office, I saw all these houses and pictures of houses being built. And he's like, "Hey, our company's hiring. You're interested?" I'm like, "Yeah." That would be right out of school. I was working for my uncle, who was a real estate attorney at the time. Mm-hmm. And jump in. Like 2 weeks into the job, I'm like, they had me doing all this stuff on like shopping centers. I'm like, what does this have to do with the houses we're building in the Bahamas? And they're like, "No, that's Cypress Equity. It's our sister company that we share an office with. We actually are a commercial real estate brokerage firm." And I remember calling my wife or fiance at the time, like I almost quit on the spot. And
And
here we are.
Were you hammering and nailing at that? Were you hammering and nailing that kind of thing, or what were you doing?
No. They just had me doing research on shopping centers. I knew I was getting in like a marketing position, like an office job, but my goal was to if I took any role in the company I could get. At the time, a lot of firms weren't hiring.
Right.
Everybody was laying people off, not hiring, and so I took it just to get my foot in the door. I didn't care if it was sweeping the halls. I would have done whatever to get my foot in the door. And but then I find out they're doing all this stuff on shopping centers and retailers and they had been making all these maps for certain clients. And I was so confused on what it had to do with the houses, and it was a little embarrassing, but it taught me to make sure you do your research, going into whatever you do now.
Oh,
And
sure, sure.
so,
I think we none of us can make them. You almost can't make a mistake these days with the access to information on anybody
oh
and
yeah,
everybody, right?
yep. No, it's wild, but yeah. So got my feet wet at SRS. When my son was about ready to be born, my wife, was pushing for something a little more of a steady paycheck. So I ended up going in house with the developer, which was Woolbright Development,
Oh, okay.
and I was there probably 8 or 9 years. Learned the majority of what I know in the business from them. I mean, great team. I worked under Peach Lane, which is the head of leasing there. Learned a lot from him. He was a guy that never let a deal die. Just I learned how to get very creative on how to make deals work, and so.
Well,
Um,
a lot of people will say, in our industry,
yep,
will say that we're problem solvers, right? That we got we got
100%.
we got to figure it out and get it done.
Yeah, yeah, and then I hate when you get a response and somebody's like, "Oh, it's not going to work. Deal's over." Like, it's not over. Let's figure out how to make it work.
Right.
Let's give and get. It's part of the business. So.
And did the time with Woolbright make you think about ownership, or like do you, and I'm not looking to get into your bank book, so to say, but do you own property? Do you invest? Do you develop for your own portfolio? Are you straight brokerage? How are you playing things these days?
So right now we're straight brokerage. And that is it's kind of I guess I'll back up a little bit. It's how we kind of got into ForeFront. I always knew I wanted to own. I wanted to develop. Um, I right after Woolbright, I did a short stint with Trinity Commercial Group, and I was actually funny. I was working a deal with those guys, and I told them that I was getting ready to open up my firm. Like, oh, don't do your own firm. Come work for us. We just opened an office for Lauderdale. Help us grow our firm, and I was like, I was ready to jump off the edge and do my own thing, and then they offered that, and I took it, and it was good. I was only there about a year. I did a short stint with them, and I realized, I wanted to do it for myself, not for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So Laura Burgle, my partner, I worked with her at Woolbright. I, trained her. She was in marketing, got into leasing. She worked with me. So over the last 10 plus years, I'd worked with Laura, and so we chatted and talked about starting ForeFront. And the goal of starting ForeFront was to become a brokerage and a development firm.
Okay.
Kind of go and doing, single tenant developments and stuff like that. And when we started, we had, clients of ours that just came to us with massive portfolios to lease. We had a little over 5 million square feet of shopping centers in South Florida that we were leasing.
Well, let me cut you for a second. So,
Yeah.
In our business, we're always out there. We're hunting for opportunity. How do you just made an interesting statement, right? These clients, clients, what have you, came to us with large portfolios. Respectfully, why did they come to you? Like, what was the catch there? What brought them in?
So we were doing leasing for them on, just a few assets that they had at the time.
Okay.
We were doing stuff for it was Equity One at the time, which was later down the road was acquired by Regency. But so we were doing some stuff for them. We had some stuff for Kimco going on, and I think we had 3 or 4 centers with each of them that we were leasing. When they caught wind that we were starting our own firm, they approached us and asked if we wanted to take on a larger portfolio on both sides. So that wasn't the goal in starting ForeFront. It wasn't the goal to become a big leasing firm,
Right.
and so we agreed and kind of made some agreements that we would hire more agents because obviously Laura and I weren't going to be able to handle 5 million square feet on our own.
Sure.
So we did that. At the time, I had another partner. It was 3 of us. Terry Salzman. Terry's actually who ran the SRS office when I got in the business. So we had stayed connected over the years. He was doing his own thing. So we partnered with him as.
So you got to hire him.
So we got, well, he partnered with us and
Yep.
more for the development side of the business. Because the majority of what he does now is development.
Sure.
So that was the goal of, bringing the development, the leasing team together and kind of creating, a good synergy between the 3 of us.
You sound like you're very, very landlord rep at that point.
Yes. Yeah. Very, very strong, very landlord rep. It was a little over 5 million square feet. We had probably a dozen or so tenant rep clients that we were working with, both national and local. Um, 3 years down the road, we had 8 agents, I think, 8 people in the office, like 4 or 5 agents, some marketing, we had admin, and we just realized the company wasn't going in the direction that we had planned for it. And at the time, I was looking at exploring options up in the Carolinas and Georgia. We had some clients that had been asking us to kind of assist them in those markets. My wife had always been pushing to move north. She's from Ohio initially. So long story short, I made the move. And in that same time, we actually downsized the company. We kind of unfortunately got rid of pretty much everybody
Really?
because we wanted to really start from scratch and create what we initially set out to do. So,
Which was what was
which
the
was to
outline?
be more of a tenant rep and development firm. Laura, my partner, still does a good amount of landlord rep down in South Florida. I haven't really been doing any landlord rep up in the Carolinas and Georgia, mainly more involved on land and tenant rep opportunities. So the goal now is moving forward. We've got a good team in place that is both. We've just recently hired a young agent who interned with us last summer. He just started with us this summer full time. So between him, myself, and Laura, the goal is to continue growing again, but in the right direction. So we're looking at development opportunities. We're looking at partnering with some developers on some projects. We've gotten creative with some developers. And one thing I learned early on, a lot of developers are, land rich and cash poor. And we've learned to take advantage of that of, throwing commissions into deals as equity rather than collecting commissions and, getting creative in these developers that we've worked with. They love that opportunity and, are more than happy to kind of work that scenario out.
That's always I always find, or not always, I always have found, certainly over the last 20 years of being independent, is that you get to make those decisions, on the fly without having to ask anybody and having to worry about anything and, reporting up the ladder for somebody to sign off on that. And, that's why, quite frankly, 20 years in, still independent, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's really interesting. Have you put a shovel in the ground yet up in South Carolina on any projects and are you handling like development management on these things, or you're bringing in somebody else?
So we're putting the teams in place to do that. I'm not handling it specifically myself.
Right.
We've looked at. We've made some offers on some properties to do just some smaller stuff. Unfortunately, it hasn't panned out, but we haven't given up. Still kind of going after it. But I try to do it just personally. I try to do a small self-storage facility up here, and for boat, RVs, stuff like that. Nothing really, not retail related, but just more kind of on the personal investment side.
Right.
And ran into some issues with the town, stuff like that, so wasn't able to get the approvals I needed. So kind of backed out of that one recently. But we have a developer that we're working with. He's been acquiring a lot in Georgia, he's mainly doing commercial aspect of like small hotel motel type developments.
Okay.
And then he's building like these like massive like cabin communities for like Airbnb style rentals. So we're not getting involved on the resi side of it, but we have been working with him on the land side of it, and we've been we've got some deals going now that we're probably going to partner with him on investing on the land side of it. Mm-hmm. So it's some a couple 200-300 acre parcels that we're looking at. So
nice. I want to take you back half a step on what the mindset was like when you left. You finally said, I'm leaving Florida and I'm heading up to South Carolina. Obviously, for all the family reasons, what have you, but obviously the business opportunity. I'm just so curious when you really, you walk into a strange land. What is that? What was the mindset? What was it? What it looked like? Or and was it more specific? Did one of your clients, and maybe you can mention them, it's up to you, that said, hey, I need to be in this neighborhood in South Carolina, and this is where I want to be, so that allowed you to stay focused. Just what was that whole thing like? Because, and I speak with 100% naivete because I'm here, been here, never moved, kind of thing. And I just want to know what that mindset was like.
It was tough, and the mindset I have, and it's funny because me and my brother always say the same thing. We've kind of always, you get on a bike and learn how to ride it type of thing. Like, I've always said, yeah, I said, even growing when we started the company, like there was stuff that we had never done before, and people were asking us, "Can you do it?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." We walk out of the meeting, we're like, "I know it." Like,
right.
We got to figure that out. So that was kind of my mindset. I'll figure it out, and it was hard. I will tell you that. I mean, I came from South Florida. I lived in Florida for 40 years, and friends and neighbors all said, the joke was Mike's got a guy. If you needed something, I knew somebody that, in our business, we meet so many people from all types of services. And so every time somebody needed something, I knew. When I moved up here, I was like, I don't have a guy. Like I had to learn. I went out, joined a bunch of different networking groups. Mm-hmm. There were groups I joined that, I thought were business networking groups, and showed up Saturday morning to a breakfast and found out it was like a men's church group, and so, and I joined all different types of networking groups, and I've recently backed out of a bunch that I joined and stuck to the ones that are beneficial to us. But I got lucky enough to meet a guy when I was up here, which, funny enough, you got me into, was the cold plunging.
Get out of here.
So when I moved up here, there was a guy that was doing these like small pop-up things, events for cold plunging.
Okay.
And so I was, I'll go, I went to one, signed up, they did breath work, did the cold plunge, mm-hmm. and we were chatting, and he works for a flooring company, but he runs a network group called CREX CLT for Charlotte. Okay. So, and it's a lot of service oriented, property managers, there wasn't really any brokers in the group, which was great for me because every time now an opportunity comes up, I was able, the referrals were coming to me.
Of course.
And so, but chatting with him, letting him know what I did for a living, he goes, I run a commercial real estate networking group. He's like, you got to join it. Like, so I went from doing the cold plunging to, joining those groups and doing that, and, just getting out and networking. But yeah, it was hard. I mean, I found myself doing a lot of networking that I hadn't done in years. In our business, you've got to go out and network. And sure. I had gotten to a point where I was so busy in the office, I wasn't networking anymore. And when I moved up here, it just flipped. I was able to go back out and network and meet people and look for opportunities. And
I think wonderful. That's great, right? You got to create it. That's everything about our business is creating the opportunity. But I do think that you should go back to cold plunging and videoing it and posting it because they were always fun.
Yeah. Funny, my wife tells me I'm going to jinx myself if I say the story, but since I started cold plunging, 4 years ago, I've never been sick. And I quit doing it like 6 months ago just because I got busy in, life. And I got sick for the first time in like 3.5 years. And so I literally just finished. I'm in the process of this weekend. It'll be done setting up another plunge at the house. So,
I mean, how can, we've gone through this and I'm focused and disciplined and do my stuff and whatever. Right. But, you get up early enough, just, sort of get in the freaking pool kind of thing.
Yep.
And that's all of 5 minutes. So,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I do appreciate, I owe you that because it's been a huge benefit to my health and everything else, over the years. So
good.
But but it was, again, just, it was tough. And luckily we did have some clients, we've been doing work for Kahala for a little over probably 12, 13 years now. And so we moved up here. We had an opportunity to immediately help them with Cold Stone, Sweet Frog, identifying some sites for them. So smaller tenants, but at least it helped us get our name out there. It forced us to kind of go out and learn markets.
Sure.
We picked up Mavis Discount Tire shortly after my move.
That's great.
All through North Carolina. So now we do all of North Carolina for them. So that really forced us to kind of get out there, and we had to know the market. So every week I was going out, driving a different market, meeting new brokers, agents, just constantly trying to, hit the streets and learn the market. So,
and access to information, all good. You sort of easy enough down there, kind of thing.
Yeah. Information's easy. It's there's a developer that I've become pretty close with. builds a bunch of little strip centers, stuff like that. And he calls me Mr. Miami, and I thought it was just because he thought I was from Miami. And one day I'm like, I'm not from Miami. I'm actually, just north of Miami, South Florida, Fort Lauderdale. He's like, no. I call you Mr. Miami because every time I ask you for something, you have it to me within like the hour. He's like, I'm not used to that. He's like, a lot of the brokerage firms up here are more just like laid back and they're like, yeah, I'll get it to you next week. I'm like,
you imagine what I would do down there? I'd make their heads spin. But I think that's amazing. I think it's amazing, right? It's got to create opportunity for you. Shit, you should be buying up stuff and doing all that.
Yeah, and I mean we put together kind of a friends and family fund that we or have access to that we want to start investing. Just kind of looking for the right opportunity. But for the time being, we've been kind of I mainly have been doing tenant rep and identifying sites for other developers at the moment. So.
All right. Well, Stephanie may contact you afterwards and remind you that we're friends and family over here.
You got it.
So all right. So now you're 3+ years right into South Carolina.
Yep.
Right. How's biz?
Business is great. It's and I've always said it takes 3 years to kind of get up and running in this business. Mm-hmm. And really moving up here was kind of starting from scratch. So,
right.
July was 3 years. And actually this week, July 16th or next week, July 16th will be 3 years that I've been here. And it's,
right.
Business, we've got a great group of clients. I couldn't ask to work with a better group. We just brought on Connor McIntyre, who, the junior agent. He's
nice,
aggressive and, hitting the phones and, already, I was out of town last week for some family stuff and, he had put together like 5 or 6 LOIs, within the week I was gone, and in his second week, so he's aggressive and out there and
and you came back and he was sitting in your chair. Right.
So it's but it's great. I couldn't, it was a change. The lifestyle and everything was completely different up here. It was a little bit slower pace that I wasn't used to, and so that took some time getting used to, but it's been great. So.
Right, and now your networking groups are more real estate focused and not church focused.
Yes. Yeah.
Nothing against the church. Hey, have you had a beer with Darius Rucker yet?
I have not.
Okay, you let me know when you meet up with him. I got to talk to him. Okay, I need to have a little discussion with him. Okay. So now you're building, you got a guy on board, you're monitoring your growth, obviously, right? You don't want to bring on too much too soon.
Yep.
You bring him on straight commission, I assume, just the same as sort of we all would, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And how did you find him?
So funny enough, our neighborhood has like a neighborhood Facebook page, and last summer I had put a post up. Because I saw the kids coming home from college and this and that, and said, hey, if anyone has any, kids in college or high school that are looking to get into commercial real estate, they're looking to intern, 2 or 3 days a week, I could definitely, because I needed some help kind of doing some research and wasn't quite ready to bring somebody on full time. And,
sure.
And I think I had 3 people reach out, and when I did some video conferences with them and. Him and I just kind of clicked and hit it off, and my wife jokes. She says he's an old soul in a young body because he's just very mature for his age, and we kind of just clicked, and he did the summer with us. He did 2 days a week for the summer, and then over the school year he actually kind of did some part-time stuff as different assignments I needed help with. I would just ping him, and he would jump right on it, and
right.
And, he was getting ready to graduate, reached back out and was like, look, I've enjoyed working with you. And, if there's a full-time opportunity, I'd love to take it. And
that's great.
So he did a real estate, I think he did real estate and finance was his major. So he was able to get, licensed right out of school, which was great. So he's licensed in the Carolinas and Georgia. So
is he doing any type of underwriting for you?
No underwriting right now. Right now, really, we just kind of have him doing, the site, helping us with site selection work and tenant rep. So he's kind of, it's what he's been doing. He's been helping us on the research side of all that. So now we're kind of trying to bring him, full circle research. Going from research to actually submitting the offers and putting those together. And so it's been a good learning experience. So.
No, that's very exciting. It sounds like things are ramping up. Is South Carolina on the whole, strong, vibrant kind of
Yeah,
thing?
yeah. North Carolina definitely is a higher growth.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in North Carolina. South Carolina is, I feel like, is slowly creeping up behind it, but I would say, a good amount of what we've been doing is kind of up in the North Carolina market. So
I was gonna say, I mean, not this. I don't know if it's silly or not, but does South Carolina business push you to North Carolina? They're like, well, if I'm, do tenants say I'm here, I'd like to go there as well? Is there a natural
yeah, I mean,
progression of
especially
that?
where I'm located, I'm 20 minutes like southwest of Charlotte. So I'm just over the border in South Carolina. So like we're right on the border. Like even the hospital my wife works at is in North Carolina. So like
Oh, okay.
we're so close to the border that my daughter goes to cheer in North Carolina, my son does stuff in North Carolina. So we're back and forth. You never know which state you're in. Just like
So get your school intern during the school year, right? Because all the summer interns are placed now.
yeah,
Get your school year intern to start mapping and monitoring the North Carolina market for you, right?
yes,
And have
yeah.
it and just sort of have it ready and then ramp. Just a thought, but it'll keep you half a step
Yeah,
ahead.
I mean, like I said, most of what we've been doing is North Carolina. So we've gotten some software stuff like that we brought
Okay,
on,
good.
which has been very helpful. I've always been big on the tech side. I mean, I figured there's one software that we had acquired recently. I had like a trial period of like 3 days, and I got a deal done in the 3 day period. So I was like, why not spend the money and buy it? Like it was just, you
What
know,
is it?
it tracks developments.
Okay.
So, it goes in and oversee, like if you submitted a permit to the city for a development site, it kind of tracks that and tells you, all right, this site is somebody has submitted a permit or a request for a permit for development or site plan or something like that. So
Right.
it kind of it's been helping us with tracking growth and
Oh,
following growth. So it's been good. So
that's great. That's great.
yeah.
So what's the 5 year plan? What's the 10 year plan?
5 year plan is to, would obviously is, continue to grow. When we were running a big firm, I'd say big, but, we had 8, 9 people at one time. Like, I know you probably triple that size,
No,
with
no,
your
no, no,
firm.
no.
No?
Look, we're seven. We're seven,
Okay.
seven,
Okay.
seven
Good.
brokers and 2 marketing. So yeah.
Got it. Okay. You seem like
No,
you're bigger
come
than
on now.
that. But yeah, I'm not looking to go back to that again.
Yeah,
Like
no,
if
no.
I brought somebody on, it'd be maybe one more agent and like an admin role type marketing person.
Sure.
The goal isn't to grow big. I'd really like to kind of get more. I'd say over the next 5 years would be to really, start pushing more into the development side, and whether it's our developments or working with developers, that's kind of the goal, the plan. So
No, it's very exciting. I think back, and I know I said it on the intro. We met online, social media, right? There was a club. I always talk about it. That Clubhouse app. Remember that
yes,
Clubhouse app
yeah,
that we used to get on, and then we had the retailer. I don't know. I forgot. We used to talk all. We used to get
yeah,
on.
the retail army or whatever that
The
was. So
Digital
yeah,
Army, there you go. The
digital
Digital
army. There we
Army,
go. Yeah,
right? Shout out to Jason Ciano. Got to give him credit for
yeah.
that, at least
No,
for
that was
that.
great. And funny enough, I met a few like Brittany McGrath. I met through that, and
Yep.
we do quite a bit with her.
Well, that's great.
So
I love Brittany. I love Brittany.
yes, yeah,
We're always speaking. Carrie, Bob, and I speak on a very regular basis.
nice.
Interestingly enough, Jason Ciano is very busy with whatever it is he's doing, and I never speak with him. But that, sort of no harm, no foul kind of thing. But I'm so grateful when I look back, with someone like yourself and the Carries and people like that I've come across. I mean, look, even Joe Killinger, and George Pino, who I got my first IRL with after several years, which was at the CREI Summit in Palm Desert last fall.
Okay.
But that was my first time. I was signed up with them to be part of the Commercial Brokers International and that network. Actually transacted through the network on a small referral they brought our way, and hadn't never met him. And then, and by the way, even the thing I alluded to with respect to the California deal, had never met him and signing off, and I'm writing the guy big checks. I don't even know the guy.
That's awesome.
But it's all good, and I'm grateful for our relationship, because I know I can call you anytime for down there, and I know you can call me anytime up here.
Yep. Yeah, social media. I mean, the Army thing, all that was great. I mean, I still to this day. I mean, I felt bad saying it, but during COVID, I mean, it was one of the best years we ever had. I mean, we were able to pivot and did a lot of social media stuff that was kind of just our business exploded. We started in November of 2019. We started the firm, and that year we did not pencil. I mean, I think we did 3 times what we had budgeted to do, and it was. We were able to pivot, like you said. Not having to get approvals, we were able to pivot real quick, and we did a lot of medical tenants. We did, during that year, and it was great. We learned a lot, and social media is, to this day, I still say we probably get. We don't track it as much, but I'd say probably about 30% of our business comes from social media.
That's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I say to this day, the New York City marketplace still doesn't get it. They really almost still don't get it. It's so very interesting. And, I still go through the, walk down the street, run into my guys. Oh, I love your stuff. I love your stuff. But they don't follow me and whatever, but they know all about my stuff.
That's funny.
So it's a blast. It's a blast. Michael Mogerman, I'm so glad we got to spend this time. You're a good friend, a confidant, and a real estate rock star down there. I appreciate our relationship. I appreciate you spending some time with me, and I look forward to doing it again with you real soon.
Definitely. Anytime, ready to get a hold of me.
All right, brother. Take care.